Hey guys, welcome to Red Devils United. I'm John, and today is a big day. It is a big day, a massive away game to Burnley, which will bring United to the top of the Premiership for the first time since 2017, but more importantly, for the first time after 17 matches since 2012. This is a big day, guys, so thank you for joining me. Just waiting for the stream to make sure it is live. Everything suggests that we are live, but it's just not showing up on the channel. Just want to make sure that we are, in fact, live streaming. Now, it does seem to be showing up in my actual live stream, so I'm just going to keep going. So, guys, Burnley today, Man United have a chance to go top of the table. And the reason I say the important thing is it's since 2012 since we've been top of the table after 17 games. The reason that's important is because you can go top of the table after week 1, week 2, even week 3. Very misleading, this season Everton went top of the table, great start to the season. But could they maintain that? Well, it's very difficult. You've seen teams, go top of the table after 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, but after 17 games, it'll be 18 should they win or draw today. But after 18 games, if they go top of the table, we're on 16 matches, but if we go top of the table today after 17 games, it'll be the first time since 2012. And when we did it back then, we won the league, which is huge for us. Guys, I'm just going to take a second to make sure that we are in fact live, because after 17 games right now, the stream doesn't seem to be showing up. So if you're in the chat, please chat. Let me know you're actually seeing this, because right now I actually am not seeing it on YouTube. Bear with me. Oh, sorry, it's actually the post-match talk that's showing up, so I'm going to need to change that, guys. I had the wrong settings in, so my apologies to everyone. This is obviously the pre-match video, so thank you for joining, and I appreciate you being here. So let's just take a look at that table that I've been talking about. Man United, currently second, with a game in hand. We're level on points with Liverpool, but vastly behind on goal difference. Should we win today, should we draw, we will be a point or 3 points ahead of Liverpool going into the match against Liverpool on Sunday. That is huge. Of those two games, if we were to get 6 points and be 6 points ahead of Liverpool after 18 games, which is basically the halfway point in the season, that would be absolutely massive for United. It would be the first time, as I mentioned, since 2012 that it's happened. And when it happened back then, we won the league. Now, that's not to say we're going to maintain this. United are currently 10 games unbeaten. If they win or draw today, that'll be 11 games straight unbeaten. So it's going to be very hard to kind of maintain that. But this is a team that is capable of going on runs. We have the best away record in the club's history under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Not just in the Premier League history, but in the club's entire footballing history. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got more consecutive away wins than any manager has ever done in this club. He also had, in his first season, before he was even made permanent, a 14-game or something winning streak, which got him the job. But last season alone, to go from 10th to 3rd in the league, he went on I think it was a 20-game unbeaten run. So the team are capable of good runs. And we're going to need not to go on another one. We're actually going to need to maintain this existing run all the way through the second half of the season if we are going to maintain what is in fact a title challenge. It is unmistakable now. It is undebatable. We are in a title challenge, and we are effectively going to leapfrog Liverpool if we win or get a point from today before that match we have. So, and in fairness, we need a win. A draw today and then you lose to Liverpool, we're 2 points behind. But a win today and a win with Liverpool, and we're 6 points ahead. A win today and a loss to Liverpool, and we're still level. So a win today is vital It is absolutely vital for this team. So it's just, I have to say, just looking at that table, if you're a Man United fan, it's great to see. I have not seen us up there at this stage of a season. It's been such a long time. And the fact that it's with Liverpool, our biggest rival, and say what you want against City, and also Chelsea in recent years, and obviously Arsenal throughout the 90s and early 2000 period. Liverpool are historically our greatest rivals ever, and it is the biggest single match of the season, home and away. And now, of course, we have them in the fourth round, I think, of the FA Cup, so that even adds more spice to the season as we get on. Some great games to look forward to. But there is nothing bigger in English football than the Liverpool-Man United rivalry. And the fact that we're competing, at the moment, we're competing with them for the top of the table is amazing. Like, I know I'm 38 years old. I've been following Man United since 1989, 1990, roughly when I was about 8 years old, before Ireland's historic run in the World Cup. That was when I became a Man United fan. Back then, we hadn't won a title in 30 years. Liverpool were by far the most successful team in English football. They had something like 12 titles, or 10 titles more than Man United. We had done nothing. So all my friends or my brother and a few people at that age, back in 1989, 1990, who were jumping on the Liverpool bandwagon, glory hunters. I myself became a United fan, and I started supporting a team that hadn't won a title in 3 decades, much like Liverpool fans a couple of years ago. So I wasn't, following glory. And then what happened was, over the next 30-year period, United fans just got spectacularly lucky with the manager, with the youth team, and with the success that they were able to enjoy over that 30-year stretch, whilst Liverpool fans had a completely barren run with regards to the league. But now, Liverpool have won their first league in 30 years, and people were talking about Man United. Will they go 10 years, 20 years, 30 years without winning a league title? And c'est la vie, the very year after Liverpool win it, here we are at the moment, and I can't stress that enough, it's at the moment competing with them for that title, but with an awful lot of games still to play. I'm hoping there's people joining us live in our chat. I really appreciate it if they would, and if they are watching live, please let me know about the team. Let me know about the selections that you want to see. Let me know about the predictions that you think will be for today's game. Love to hear all of your thoughts. I will open the chat window shortly, so we will read out your chats and we will have a bit of a discussion, whether you're a Liverpool fan, a Chelsea fan, an Arsenal fan, or a Man United fan. Have a chat, have a comment. Let us know what you think about Man United being in this position at this stage in the league. And let's not forget, it is so close. Spurs have a game in hand. They can go 32 points and be single game behind us. And by a game in hand, I mean on Liverpool. And on Leicester City. City have 2 games in hand. Should they win those, they'd actually go on 35 points. They have 2 games in hand on Liverpool, 1 game in hand on us. If they were to win their 2 games, and we beat Burnley today, we will go top. City would actually go second, and Liverpool will be third. If we were to then beat Liverpool on Sunday, we would be top, City would be second, and then there's a very good chance that Leicester would be third, Tottenham would be fourth, and Liverpool could find themselves in and around 5th position. So in the space of a single match or 2 games, you can seriously drop from 1st to 5th. And that, honestly, guys, that applies to all of us. I mean, United are in a title race with Liverpool at the moment, but I think Man City are probably our biggest rivals. And by our, I mean Man United's biggest rivals to winning the title, and they're Liverpool's biggest rivals to winning the title. Because, Spurs are right up there, obviously, Leicester are up there, but there are 5 teams competing for the title. Let's not kid ourselves. And until 1 or 2 or 3 of those 5 teams start to falter, while the other 2 go on a big run, there is going to be 5 teams competing for this league until that happens. And at the halfway stage, they're still so close. And let's not forget, Everton have a game in hand. They go 32 points if they win it. They're only a point behind Liverpool if they win their game in hand. Aston Villa have 2 games in hand. They'll go on 32 points if they were to win those 2 games. So realistically, there's 7 teams that could be within 1 point of Liverpool, same games played. It's ridiculous. 7 teams. So yes, United are in a title race, but let's just calm that a little bit, because in my opinion, until teams start to falter, there are 7 teams in a title race right now, and it is incredible. I'm going to just take a quick look. I know that the chat, there's nobody in at the moment. We have Deco in our chat window, Obi-Wan, who says, let's do this, top of the table. So fingers crossed we can actually achieve that, Deco. Appreciate you joining live. Thank you very much. Now we have to say, a lot has to be said for our main man, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He has had to put up with an awful lot of pressure from the media. He's had to put up with an awful lot of pressure from the fan base. And I don't mean criticisms. I criticise him all the time. Okay, I've said this before in past videos. When we played a 7-man defence against RB Leipzig in the second leg of that game, it was completely the wrong decision. He makes mistakes, and I will criticise him for his mistakes, as anybody should. But that doesn't mean it's Ole out or Ole in. That's just, you criticise the mistake. He's going to make them. Every manager makes them. But you hope he then learns from those mistakes and he moves on and he grows, and that's what every manager in football, regardless of how successful you are, needs to do. But the amount of slack he gets, the amount of trolling he gets, and the amount of just complete lack of respect that he gets from pundits and the media in general is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this guy has a chance to be top of the table before we play our last game of the first half of the season against Liverpool. We could be top of the table. And, people are talking about, oh, well, you don't know which United is going to turn up. Is it going to be the bad United or the good United? Well, hold on a second. In the league, we have a 10-game unbeaten run. We've lost 3 matches, okay? Crystal Palace. It was the first game of the season. We had a week less training. We had a week's less competitive game that Crystal Palace had. Pogba had COVID. I mean, we were caught cold, absolutely. But, it's not an excuse, but there were reasons that we were caught cold. We shouldn't have been caught cold. We should have been ready. But the team was together a week less than than Crystal Palace. The other game, Spurs, that all the media keep mentioning. Oh, but is it the same United? Like, is it going to be the good game or is it going to be the Spurs game? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We lost to Spurs 6-1. We had 10 men for 80 minutes. Now, were we good in the first 10? No, we were 2-1 down. But if this season has told us anything, it's that this United team can go behind and come back and win. But when you've got 10 men for 80 minutes, chasing the ball, chasing shadows, getting tired, it's a ridiculous, it's ridiculous notion to use that game as an example for this, to measure this team on. Okay, 10 men for 80 minutes. You never see anybody talking about Liverpool's game against Villa where they lost 7-2. 11 men for the whole match. A full team. No injuries. No crisis. They got battered. And nobody uses that game as a stick to beat them with. They just ignore it. But yet everybody, when they talk about Man United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they keep talking about the Spurs game. The Crystal Palace game, we were caught cold. First game of the season, fine. Spurs game, 10 men for 80 minutes. Get over it. The only really bad league game, the only really bad result United have had in the league was the Arsenal defeat, which Arsenal then went on probably one of their worst runs in 20, 30, 40 years, and it put them in 15th in the league. United should have won that match. They lost it with a last minute penalty, but even a draw would have been a bad result against that Arsenal team. So that's the worst result they've had in the Premier League. Okay, the draw against Chelsea, yeah, they could have won it, but it's still a point against Chelsea, one of your rivals within that top 4 space. The draw against City, both teams look lackluster, but it's still a draw against City. Okay? Arguably one of the best teams in the league. Who, by the by, have a chance in their 2 games in hand to go top of the league, depending on United's results in the next 2 games. So let's not pretend the draw against City is not still a good result. That's the worst results we've had is Arsenal. And yet people keep reverting back to the Spurs game. This United team is not up and down in the league. Okay? They're pretty consistent as far as the league is concerned. They're doing quite well. They're 10 games unbeaten. Nobody talks about the fact that in the last 10 games, Liverpool have had away from home, they've only won 2 of them. You know, so I think Ole deserves so much more respect for what he's done and achieved. I mean, this is only his second full season, and he's already putting together a title challenge. You know, I mean, there has to be something said about that. It took Klopp 5 years to win a league. Okay, he finished 8th in his first season and 4th in his second. Okay, and here's Ole. He finished 6th and then 3rd, and in his second full season, he's currently, and it could drop. We could drop to 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. But people treat him as if we're already there. People treat Ole and react to his post matches and react to where he is and how his season is going as if we're sitting in 8th, 9th, or 10th. And they don't act and respond as if he's sitting 2nd, if not 1st after today's game. And if we lose today's game, all the Ole outers will be back. Which again is complete nonsense, because anybody can lose a game of football. You know, that's been shown, especially this season. So it's just, I think everybody needs to take a breath and give the guy some slack and give him the praise and his dues for what he has done with this team. He's gotten rid of 10, 12 players. He's brought in new players, and he's building a new culture. He's created what is arguably, I think, one of the deepest squads in the league as far as quality is concerned. Yes, we still need to improve the first 11, but as far as the squad is concerned, we have a very impressive squad of players. And this season he's doing great. He's done a lot of work behind the scenes. He's improved and he's completely changed the medical staff, which is doing something, because barely any of our players are getting injured this season as opposed to previous seasons. You know, last season Rashford out for a quarter of the year, Martial out for a quarter of the year, Pogba out for half of the year. I mean, even Bali's playing this season. I mean, the medical staff are doing miracles with this United team. Ole's changed that. He's changed the coaching staff at youth level. He's bringing through more youth, and he's making good signings. So I think he deserves more praise for the fact that we are currently joint top of the Premier League after 16 games, and possibly top of the league after today if all goes well. Let's just see if anybody has anything to say about that. Rob Fox, alright man, alright Rob Fox, and cheers to you buddy. Let's hope we have a good game, a better performance than we had against Watford, but a great result. Steve Norman, Liverpool fan, come on Burnleys, as if we're playing against 2 separate Burnleys today, Burnley A and Burnley B. No, come on Burnleys. Yeah, I mean, you expect that from a Liverpool fan, and the fact that they're sitting there cheering on Burnley so avidly is delicious, because it shows we are competing. If we were sitting 8th or 9th or 10th in the league at the moment and playing Burnley, Liverpool fans, I mean, yes, they'd still want United to lose, but they wouldn't give a shit if they won. And rightfully so. What would it do for us? It'd get us from 10th to 9th. Who cares? But the fact that this will put us above them is lovely. Steve Norman, Liverpool without players. We've a goalkeeper for a start. Mane, Thiago, to name a few. Well, I mean, Thiago is an addition to the team that won the league last season by 1 million points. So I don't care about Thiago. Missing the keeper, fair enough. But we've played without De Gea on a number of games, and we didn't concede 7 goals. Mane, I don't think defends very well, and is probably not the reason you conceded 7 goals either. You had Van Dijk, you had Gomez, you had a full midfield. I'm not sure if Mane was injured, Steve, or if he just wasn't selected. If he wasn't selected, then that's perfectly fine. If he was injured, then okay, that's an injury. But you had a full team. What I meant was you didn't have the injury crisis to your centre halves that you have now, and that isn't an excuse for the Villa game. You also, and more importantly, you didn't have 10 men for 80 minutes. You had 11 men for the whole game. My point is not that you lost and ha. My point is that United got beaten 6-1 when they had 10 men for 80 minutes, and Liverpool got beaten on the same day, miraculously, 7-2, with a full complement of players, all 11 on the pitch for the whole game. And nobody beats Liverpool with that performance as much as they beat United with the current performance with in there. And both teams are level. They're level on points. If anything, United have far more consistency over the last 10 matches than Liverpool have had. You know, with this West Brom draw, the Fulham draw, the Newcastle draw, the Southampton loss, etc, etc. But nobody beats Liverpool with that Villa game, even though they had 11 men the whole match. the way they're constantly beating United with the Spurs result, which was months ago, and we only had 10 men for not 10 minutes or 20 minutes or even a first half. It was for 80 minutes. I mean, I think people need to drop that result. Rob Fox says, don't get carried away. I'd say the league this year has been more competitive than ever. As far as bad results, any game we lose is a bad result. I'd also say it's not a title challenge yet. Well, I agree. It is the most competitive the league has been, I think, ever. And not because United are so close to Liverpool, and not because City, with their 2 games in hand, could be within a point of either United or Liverpool, but more so because 7 teams are, when all games are equal, are possibly a point apart. A single point could separate 7 teams when all games are equal, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I do think we are in a title challenge because you're fighting for the title. But that can, as you mentioned in the next comment, we are 7 or 8 games out and in the same position, then we have a shot. Yeah, I mean, our title challenge could go within 3 weeks because we lose 4 games. And then you're gone. 12 points behind, title challenge over. But when you're halfway through the season and you're top of the league, you are mounting a title challenge. So I disagree with that, Foxy. We are in a title challenge. Yes, it could go very quickly. And more importantly, there's about 7 teams that could claim they're in a title challenge. Right now, we're just slightly edging all of those, but only ever so slightly. Steve Norman, COVID, Mane and Keita and Shaqiri games should have been called off. Well, he's winking. I know he's messing, and that's fine. But Keita is shit. He is absolutely not a starter in your team. He has not been a starter in your team since he signed. I don't think... He's basically the Fred of your team, but except Fred was actually really good last season, and he's been great this season. Anybody can say what they want about Fred, but Man United have only lost 1 league game he started. 1. And Fred has actually been very underrated and brilliant for us this season. But in the previous seasons, in Fred's first 1 or 2 years, he was not up to speed. He was poor. He was inconsistent. And Keita is at best that for you. He is definitely not a starter in your team. Shaqiri played the other day for you guys, and he had hair. He had hair. I haven't seen that guy in so long. I couldn't believe he had hair. Because the last time I'd seen him, he'd no hair. Shaqiri is irrelevant, okay? He's not even a sub. If we bring on Greenwood, that's a sub. If we hadn't got Rashford starting, that's a sub. You boys, Shaqiri's not even a reserve player, okay? He's saying the only player you were missing was Mane and your goalkeeper by the looks of it, okay? Keita and Shaqiri, irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant. Speaking of players, speaking of teams, let's take a look at our team. This is what I want to see play today. The team may have been announced. If the team has been announced, please, for the love of God, put it in the chat window right there. Put it in. I'd love to see what the actual team is, but this is who I want to see play. This, I believe, gives us the attacking nuance we need. Matic can protect the defence with Shaw, Maguire. Bailly's speed, power can really help us if Lindelof's not playing. I think Bailly should start. I also think he should start against Liverpool. I think Bailly complements Maguire more. I've said it time and time again. Lindelof is a very, very good defender, very composed, but him and Maguire together ultimately produces a lack of pace, which means our 2 defenders, Maguire and Lindelof, start to play deeper because there's no pace in it. And the deeper they go, the more pressure it puts on us. With Bailly and Maguire, it allows Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka to get further up the pitch. It allows our starting position to be further up the pitch. When you have these boys, Shaw and Maguire, you see here and here, when their starting position is here, it gives United a better line, a better chance to counter-attack, more men in the opposition half, and you've got Bailly's pace to come running back and to cover any loose balls. And that's ultimately what we need. So in order to do that, we absolutely need to have Bailly starting. We have Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. Shaw because he's our most defensive of the 2 fullbacks between Tellez and Shaw, so I want Shaw. And Wan-Bissaka because, the guy is a tackling beast. Yes, his positional sense can be poor. He can come in too narrow at times. Often You see Aaron Wan-Bissaka coming in and getting caught here, and when the ball comes in over the top of his head, the winger ends up having too much space. But ultimately, when you are playing a team with a good striker, you need him tackling any wingers they have on that side. But here we have Matic protecting them. I don't think we need Fred and McTominay. There's a very, very good chance that our team will look like this. And if that's the case, I think we'll equally win. We'll be more defensive, but we still have Cavani, Rashford, Martial and Bruno with Fred helping in that attacking front. And that's, I mean, it shows our strength in depth. We can take out 2 players, put in 2 players, and it changes the formation, but it still gives us a nice look and balance to the team. This is probably the team that will play, but as I've mentioned, the team I want to see is Pogba and Bruno just on the halfway with Matic. If I can find where I just stuck him. Here he is. Sitting in front of the defence. Again, we have these guys running back and running up, making great runs. Cavani coming deep for the ball. Martial and Rashford running in behind. They could cause an awful lot of trouble. And the best way to stop Burnley attacking us with their striker, who is apparently on great form, is to basically attack them. Go the way they did against Leeds. Get an early goal, get 2 early goals. You don't want to sit back and have a similar situation to what we had against Watford, where you're 1 goal up and then you're defending a lead. It's just not good. It's not enjoyable, and it really just puts unnecessary pressure on the team. Get 1 or 2 goals. Attack them. You've got 90 minutes of football, so go all out for the first 10, 20, 30 minutes. If you concede because of that, fine. You've got another 60 minutes to overturn that. But don't sit back at 0-0 the way you did against City in the Carabao Cup. Go for the win from the first minute. Pressure them high up the pitch. Use Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Cavani and pressure them high up. Win the ball back and already be in a good attacking position to counter them. And that's what we need. So guys, let me know. What do you think of this team? What do you think of this lineup? Who would you change? And again, if the actual team has been selected, please let me know. We bring the chat back up. We have Steve Norman, Liverpool fan, great friend. He is saying, scored a nice couple against you last year. No, that doesn't make Shaqiri a great player. I mean, I could get a list of all the players who scored against us last year, and I guarantee you it's not a good list of footballers. We generally beat, if not drew, most of the top 6 all last season. We beat Spurs, we beat Leicester, we drew with Liverpool, being the first team all year to take points off them, until you beat us, of course. But we drew with Liverpool. We beat City 2 times, I think. We beat Chelsea probably 3 times. We beat Arsenal, or we were great against the top 6. It was the lower teams that were scoring against us. So that's not really a good measurement of a great player. I think both me and Steve agree that if you sold in January Salah and had to replace him with only Shaqiri for the entire second half of the season, you would not be the happiest fan. I guarantee that. He's a bench player. We both know he's a bench player, and he can be good on his day. He can be very good. He's a little stump, and he causes trouble and he causes problems, but he is I wouldn't even say the McTominay of your team, but he is a squad player, much like I think McTominay should be a squad player. And he doesn't touch your first team, and he wouldn't get anywhere near our first team. And you guys are always talking about how much better you are than us. So the fact that he wouldn't touch our first team, we know he wouldn't touch yours. So guys, keep chatting in the corner. What did you think of the 11 I had? We've got about 5 people currently watching live, I believe. Maybe 4 people watching live. I hope that increases. We have a lot of Man United fans out there, so please, watch it live. Comment in the chat window. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends to build a better community. And remember that we have a post-match reaction straight after the game at about 20 past 10, I believe. I think this game ends about 10:15 tonight because kickoff is at 8:15. So 10:20, we have a post-match reaction. Please join live with that. But if you are live now, comment and tell me, what do you think of this lineup? What lineup would you play? Speaking of this game, we've already talked about how big this match is. We're playing Burnley. They're in the bottom half of the table, but they've had some good results recently. Their form is picking up. But more importantly, this means so much, not just to our league position going, what it means is the confidence levels and the boost, but also the cushion it gives United going into the Liverpool match on Sunday. This is a big, big game. Now, Robert Fox jumping in, Ramos on a free. Now, I read very, very few snippets about that, Rob. I laughed when I saw it because I don't think it will happen. Man United have done kind of really, really good short-term deals for players in the past. If you think of Blanc coming in to help us out with centre-half positions on a short-term kind of contract. When you think about the Swedish Celtic striker, Larsson, was it Larsson? Help me out with his name, but you know what I'm talking about, who came into United and again on a short-term contract did great work for us. It has happened. Ramos coming in could be brilliant. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to just double check this. Be very, very interested to see how Ramos has, what age he is. Now, I know centre halves, they can in fact go on for a lot longer than other players. Ramos, he's 34. So in fairness, as a centre half, you would get one, if not two, really great years out of someone who is an exceptional centre half. But I would imagine at 34 years of age, he might lack pace, and that's the biggest problem we have with a centre half playing alongside Maguire. It contributes to the lack of pace overall in our centre half pairing, which is why I love Bali playing so much. So I don't want unless Ramos is a fucking speedster, and I know he was fast in his past. I know ultimately over his career he's an exceptional centre half that Man United would have loved to have got 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But you can tell me, if you're watching him recently, is he still fast? Just bear with me there. I'm just checking the Man United fans group. We have Ole rings in the changes for Burnley. Right, let's take a look at what the actual team is, guys. I'm excited. Matches coming up shortly and I cannot wait. Right, so I can tell you what the actual 11 is and the substitutes. So Man United ringing the changes is not a bad thing because we have such a deep squad that we made 10 changes from the team that I think lost to City that played Watford, and there's a very good chance we've made another 8 or 9 changes back to that team. But here we go. We have De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Bali, Maguire and Shaw. Boom! Boom! John gets it right for his defensive work. Matic, Pogba, Fernandes. Boom! Boom! John gets it right for his midfield and he is great. The team I wanted Ole, I think he's watching this show. He's definitely watching this show. And then we have a strike partnership of, oh my god, Rashford, Cavani and Martial. Ole is definitely going out to win this game. He is definitely going out to get the win. I mean, as I mentioned before, Ole could have gone, Pogba off. I don't know why the Bruno off. Boom, Bruno. Matic off with Pogba. And he could have gone Fred sitting with McTominay and played a defensive 5 with Bruno as the link man for the 3 strikers. He could have done that. He could have gone with Cavani on the bench with Rashford and Martial, and he could have actually gone Bruno, McTominay, Fred and Pogba, and that still would have been defensive because you've got a 4-man midfield, 2 of which, Fred and McTominay, somewhat defensive. And only 2 strikers. But here we are. He's gone with, just bring this back in. He's gone with Rashford, Martial, Cavani, He's gone. Fred, you're on the bench. McTominay, you're on the bench. Matic, you're my man. And we've got 2 attacking midfielders. Kind of delighted I got the entire 11 correct. Pretty happy with that, to be honest, boys. But more happy with Ole's picks. Now, our substitutes. I mean, when you talk about strength and depth, let's look at the changes we can make should we find ourselves in a poor position. Greenwood can come on and take advantage of tired legs. We have Mata. We have Van der Beek. We have Fred. That's all from an attacking point of view. From a defensive point of view, should we get a 2 or 3 goal lead, we can bring on McTominay, Fred, Twinzaby. I mean, we've got a great bench. James is actually mentioned on the bench, and that is probably just the only issue I have with the squad. Seriously though, boys, this is it's a great first 11. You know, people talk about, can you play Matic, Pogba and Bruno in the same midfield? Can Bruno and Pogba play together? People forget that when Bruno first signed in January of last year, and Pogba came back from injury, that they were the reason we went on a 20-game unbeaten run. This midfield trio was the midfield trio that got us from 10th to 3rd in the league last season. They've already proven they can play together, and that's regardless of whether they win, lose or draw today. But it's great to see them in there. I'm delighted with that lineup. Absolutely great. So cheers to the boys in the group who put that up. Steve Barrett in our WhatsApp group, thanks very much, appreciate it. Do join the show if you ever get a chance, really appreciate it if you could. David Barrett in our group says, strange lineup, didn't think Matic, Martial would have played, but good enough to beat Burnley. David Barrett, I don't know what you mean. This is literally the best 11 I think can be put on the pitch. It is the best 11 that I think Man United can play. Matic, as a single defensive midfielder, Fred is not good enough. Unless McTominay is playing with him, or unless Matic is playing with him, Fred is not good enough. As a single defensive midfielder sitting in front of the back four, McTominay is not good enough. Unless Fred is playing with him, or unless Matic is playing with him, McTominay is not good enough. The only one of the three, Fred, McTominay and Matic, that is actually good enough to sit in front of that defence is Matic. And then to play Pogba and Bruno in a midfield as attacking midfielders, Pogba, people talk about he gets goals, he gets assists. I mean, in last season's irrelevant. He only played half the season. The season before that, Pogba got 16 goals. He had more assists than every midfielder in Liverpool combined. He had more assists than, I think, nearly every player other than Kevin De Bruyne. He had more goals and assists than every player in the league. So people talk about Pogba's attacking nuances. What they don't understand is that Pogba had more headed clearances than Virgil van Dijk in that season. He had more interceptions than Fernandinho. He had more tackles than both Milner and Henderson, whose main job it is to break up play. Pogba will get around and he will tackle and he will intercept passes and he will put himself about, even though he looks like he's jogging most of the time. So let's not pretend Pogba doesn't have some defensive attributes. But this is, in my opinion, and please tell me yours in the chat, in my opinion, this is the best 11 we could play. Because if you take Matic out and you put McTominay in there, you have to take out Cavani and put Fred in. Because like I said, neither Fred or McTominay are good enough to hold that position on their own. Let's know your thoughts. Love to hear it. Actually, we got a few more players, a few more people who are also footballers joining in. We got Alex McGuire. John, will you do me a favour and tell Foxy that 21 is coming home? It's coming home. I'm not doing anything until we beat Burnley, Liverpool and the following 18 teams, and then I'll believe. Never say best 11. I mean, Foxy, Alex gets blanked, lol, unsubscribing as he speaks. Alex, Foxy, calm down, we got time. Foxy, never say best 11. Yes, because we got such a good squad, and the problem, well, it's a good problem, but the issue or the challenge with this squad is that you have an 11 And with that 11, there's a formation that suits it. But if you change the 11, you generally change the formation that will suit the differing team. And for me, if you take Matic out and put McTominay in, you've got to play a 4-4-2 with a diamond formation, and you play McTominay and Fred. You know, you can take Pogba out for Van der Beek or do what you want, but you're changing the formation from 4-4-2. You cannot take Matic out and replace him with McTominay or Fred. They're not good enough on their own. With this 11, you take Pogba out and replace him with Fred. That's not better. You take Pogba out and replace him with Van der Beek. That's not better. Pogba is more talented and better than any midfielder we have in that position. And Bruno, I mean, that just speaks for itself. So Pogba, so Foxy, you tell me what would be your best 11? It is very hard because you have such a deep squad, and you can replace players like that and have an equally good team. So yeah, you're right. It's hard to say best 11, but you know, this team could go 1-0 down, and on the 60th minute they could bring on Van der Beek, they could bring on Greenwood, and they could bring on Fred, and then they could win, you know, 3-2 or 3-1. But I believe this is the best 11 we have. I think this is the 11 I wanted to see starting. Rob Fox, you subscribe. Rob Fox, if you haven't subscribed, I am going to block you from my life. From my life. Subscribe, you dickhead. Rob Fox just revealing his comment there to make sure it's there. Looks like he is jogging, lol. He is fucking jogging, lol. It looks like he's jogging, lol. He is fucking jogging. Okay. Yes, but his positional sense isn't the worst. It depends on how you watch it. I would like to see him sprint more. I would like to see him more energetic. But he does get tackles in. He does get interceptions. He positions himself in a decent position a lot of the time. But yes, I'd love to see him sprint more. But what he contributes during a match is fine. Some players run with a far bigger sprint, like Bruno. You know, he's like, it's like watching Tevez back in the day, just sprinting after players, and realistically, when he does that, you would just love to see all the other players behind Bruno cutting off the options for the player he's sprinting at. You know, if he's sprinting at the right full, you want all the players around Bruno to cut off the channels and the passes that right full has, and we'll win the ball back. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that often. Bruno ends up sprinting, running his guts out, in fairness, great, you know, but ultimately, he ends up sprinting, tiring himself out, which then leads to bad execution of passes because he's tired. But Bruno ends up tiring himself out chasing a man when that man has 4 or 5 easy options. So then he passes it. And what does Bruno do? He runs after that man, and he has 3 or 4 easy options. So Bruno needs to kind of come back and stop sprinting so much off the ball, unless all the other players are going to play that same game plan. Rob Fox, 11. Dan James, easy. So Rob Fox is trolling right now. If Dan James gets into that 11. If Dan James, he wouldn't even get into the Newbridge FC 11. He is not a good footballer. So let's just move on. Alex McGuire, Dan James wears 21 for a reason. Yes, but even that is a falsehood, Alex. Dan James should be wearing 82. 82 is the number I put him at. I would play a reserve player. I would play a 18-year-old youngster before I want him to start. You know, we have Palestri, the Uruguayan, who's making really good headlines with the youth team. Play him instead of Dan James. Give him game time instead of Dan James. The young Atlanta player we've signed, Diallo, play him in an advanced wide position. Give him minutes and game time and experience over Dan James, who ultimately everybody knows we're going to sell. And we can't get beyond that. It just can't happen. Guys, this guy is back. Cavani, he starts today. Tell me in the chat box, do we think he's going to make a difference? What are our predictions for the result? And if you have the balls, who is going to score? Tell me your thoughts, guys. I'm predicting a 3-0 win for Man United with a Cavani, Rashford and Bruno score. Cavani, Rashford, Bruno, 3-0 Man United. They go top of the table and John can go to bed a happy, happy man. And for that to happen, we need these two boys to score as well. Bruno, Rashford, and as I said, Cavani to get on the score sheet and a 3-0 win. And I would be a happy, happy man. Let us know what you think, boys. Rob Fox says 82. 8 plus 2 equals 10. 10 out of 10 for Dan James. It's a sign. Jesus Christ, you really went around the channels to try and get to that. But fair play. Fair play. Guys, we've had a chat today. We've spoken about a number of different things. We've spoken about Ole and the fair shout that he should have for having United where they are so early in his managerial career. When you think about the 11 that played in the game when we were last top of the table, which is 2017, and that wasn't after 17 games, so let's not pretend we were as good back then. We were not. But when you look at the team, he's gotten rid of so many players. He's brought in new players. Our squad looks so much better. Our atmosphere, our confidence and our culture looks so much more like what Man United fans want to see. It's so much more enjoyable. Our comebacks are on. Our late wins are on. And to do all that he has done, to make such drastic changes that this club has gone through in such a short period. Again, it's only his second full season. And literally, he's only been in the role temporarily and permanently for 2 full years. I think is exceptional, and I think he deserves his dues. Regardless of whether we win, lose or draw today, regardless of whether we win, lose or draw against Liverpool, the fact that where we are on this day is a credit to him, his background team, and the players themselves. We have talked about him, but this man, a lot is riding on him. He may not be at the club for much longer. He has given 4 years to the club. Other than last year when he was injured for half the season, let's not forget, he came back from injury and we went from 10th to 3rd. A lot of that is on Bruno's shoulders because he is fabulous. But let's not forget, Bruno did not play on his own in that period. Pogba came back from injury. And when the two of those played together, we went from 10th to 3rd. In the season before that, he scored 16 goals. He had something like 9 assists. That's 25 goals and assists for a midfielder, which is actually really, really, really fucking ridiculous. Especially when you consider the fact he was surrounded by Lingard and Pereira, of all players. And let's not forget the fact he's won us 2 trophies. So he's a big player for us today. I hope he has a phenomenal performance. I really do. But ultimately, I think the biggest contribution will hopefully come from these two boys. And we will see a couple of goals apiece. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. We have 15 minutes before the match. I want to see some of the build-up. Going to just double check the chat and see anything else that's come in. Rob Fox says definitely going to be 5-1. Cavani first goal scorer. Definitely going to score 5-1. Okay, well, there you go. I'm actually thinking Cavani will score, Rashford will score, and Bruno will score for a 3-0 win. I don't dare guess who will do it first, but let's just see. Fingers crossed. This game could go our way. Let's not forget Burnley are a very good side, and it could go against us. So I'm excited, but I am very, very nervous about how this game will be played. United need to play this like they did against Leeds. Just go all out and score more than they score. And if we can do that, it'll be a good night for all, boys. Listen, gonna go. Thanks very much for every single person who joined live. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe. Share this link with your friends. Let them watch it. But ultimately, join me for the post-match reaction. Please. 10:20. Love to see you there. Thanks again to everybody. Have a great night and enjoy your game.
Glory, glory, Man United. Glory, glory, Man United. As the Reds go marching on, on, on. Welcome to Old Trafford. It's the better of our dreams. The power and the glory of the shepherd and will sing. The Muslim boys will take the pitch with marching at their feet as the Reds
shirt belongs to you. Always has, always will.
Chevrolet, proud supporter of Manchester United.